It's Friday. TGIF, y'all. I did not realize until about literally 20 minutes ago that it's April 1st. So I didn't prepare anything for April Fool's Day. So if you're hoping for some April Fool's Day nonsense, I am fresh out. I completely lost track of the days. I always forget major, well, not that April Fool's Day is a major holiday, but it's a fun one. I didn't realize it because I was watching. I was, minding my own business, scrolling Instagram, and I saw that Razer, the company that makes a lot of computer accessories and whatnot, they apparently made this entire haptic suit. And I was like, no one's gonna buy that, but it's pretty cool, and it dawned on me right then. I was like, wait, no one, Razer's not gonna invest in a whole ass haptic suit. Why would they do that? This is stupid. This is a really stupid move from Razer. Oh, it's because it's not real. It's April 1st. So today I'm believing nothing. Nothing. Except for a few things. Apparently Jen Psaki left. She's going to MSNBC. I don't know if that's April Fool's, but you know what? Cool. If there's one move that you have, one smart move that you can make while you're working in the Biden administration, it's leaving. That's why, a whole bunch of people are leaving Kamala Harris's camp, and they're going in all sorts of different directions. Some people are getting media jobs and whatnot. Her chief of staff left, right? If you work at the White House, leave. Best career decision you could ever make. Just go. Now, given it's not completely uncommon for people in Psaki's position to leave. You have, revolving doors. It's a stressful job being under the scrutiny of a press that, I would say it's probably a lot harder for Republican press secretaries, because they've got to go out there and defend everything and anything. No matter what they say, it's not good enough. No matter what the president does, it's always evil. And they have to take on this, aggressive form of actually answering questions versus Democrats who typically have friendly media, personalities asking them questions. But they still have to deal with that one or two, they all have a doozy they have to answer to at some point in time, and the doozies can be stressful. So maybe that's real. Let's hope that's real, because there's something about it. Does anybody else just look at Jen Psaki and just think, not even after 5 drinks? It's the personality. It's the personality. Jen Psaki. Maybe it's just the fact that I've watched her lie to the American people over and over and over. Like blatant lies. Blatant. Like not even trying, kind of just yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna say whatever I need to. Sky's green. Yup. Press will take care of it for me. It's just after a while you just start to see people like that, and you're like, you are ugly on the inside. Nice threads, Brent. Thank you. I went from red plaid to blue plaid. Well, you can save my suggestion that you have us write your article today for next year. Well, you know what? Red, thank you for reminding me. Maybe something we'll do. Chat writes my next article. We could do that. By the way, coming up later today, for those of you who have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe to the YouTube channel right now and click like on this stream if you have not yet. But yesterday we released a Red State Live highlight. So if you missed it, you can catch important parts. We tend to upload the highlights sometimes. I am releasing another one today. And it is going to be a fun one. It's not very serious at all. For those of you who remember or were here a few Fridays ago, or 2 Fridays, maybe last Friday, I'm losing track of all time. We read a story that was made by an AI bot about a Joe Biden speech. Somebody fed an AI 1,000 hours of Joe Biden, supposedly, and the AI bot was then asked to write a speech, a Joe Biden speech. And it did, and we read it here on stream. And I took the liberty to create a little highlight of it with animations. Animations and some bad Photoshops. So be sure after the stream to come back here to Red State YouTube, and I will have that video uploaded today afterwards. So keep an eye out for it. We're going to have that going on. Saki was in the Obama administration like the rest of Joe Obama's staff. Joe Obama! What's up, Jeanette Masiello? Masiello? That's such a cool name. Masiello. What's up, Jennifer? Hey, how's everybody doing on this Friday, man? Brandon is a nihilist today. Today? You're out of your mind if you think this is relegated to just today. Nonsense is at peak levels, therefore April Fool's is totally redundant this year. It is kind of funny because some of the stuff... Y'all, I am convinced that we're living in a South Park episode. Like, I am... You can't convince me otherwise. Because stuff that South Park literally jokes about... Like, what was it the other day that I was like, dude, this is literally happening on South Park right now. Like, it's a running gag for the season. Some teachers want to talk about their sex lives to students. And I don't know why they think they have to or why they should in the first place. It's kind of funny. But, like, one of the running gags right now on South Park is that Mr. Garrison, the teacher character, is currently consistently talking to his students about his sex life. I'm like, this is... We're living in a South Park episode. Mecha Barbara Streisand is right around the corner. I'm telling you guys. Somebody is creating right now Mecha Barbara Streisand, going to unleash it on America. And it will deserve it. Checking in. Busy as hell with the job, so just lurking. John, I will take the lurk, man. All my love to you, John. Twilight Zone is more apropos. Yeah. Respect my authority. Today, I wanted to talk about something near and dear to my heart, and that's the collapse of the elitist culture that's happening in our country right now. It is. I'm loving that. I chose this for a Friday, right? Chose this for a Friday because I feel like on Friday you got to spread the good vibes because the weekend's here. Friday's my favorite day, so I'm in a good mood. You know, wife's back home from her business trip, so my house is all back together. And so I'm in a good mood. I wanted to share that good mood with you guys. So I wanted to talk about this collapse of the people who thought that they were better than us, who consistently look down on us and preach to us and feel like they have to lead us along, like there's some sort of moral teachers, like Sherpas on the freaking mountain. And now it's all disappearing for them. It's all crumbling around them. And if there's one, like you've seen it, celebrities in Hollywood, no one's paying attention to Hollywood anymore. They're all laughing at Hollywood. The Will Smith slap was just one of those things that just made people go, oh yeah, these people are psychos, I forgot. By the way, much love to Chris Rock, who got on stage afterward and was just like, see, he's a consummate professional. I don't agree with everything that dude says, of course. I mean, I don't agree with everything a lot of people say, but I can recognize a professional when I see one, and that dude is absolutely professional. Good for him, for the way that he's been handling this. Good for him. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, humility. That's all I'm going to say. Humility. Their responses have been nonsense. Didn't want to leave you hanging. Aw. One of the things, though, that I feel has been really fun to watch is the collapse of CNN. For those of you who have not watched CNN in a long time, and I do not blame you, you are not alone. CNN has collapsed big time. I mean, it is gone from the most trusted name in... It used to be a household name in news, right? People would be like, oh, flip on CNN so we can see what's happening. If anything went down. Then Jeff Zucker comes in and is like, hard left. Just turn the wheel as hard as you possibly can to the left. We're just going to head in that direction as fast as humanly possible. He made the Trump administration his primary target. It doesn't matter. Trump could literally dive in front of a moving vehicle to rescue a small child and roll out of the way just in time, hand it to the mother, and say, no thanks necessary. And CNN would be like, Trump tackles kids. That's how bad they were. And so many people decided that they had had enough. And so they left. They stopped watching CNN. Right? If you were a leftist and you leaned hard enough to the left, then your whole entire thing is, I'm going to go to MSNBC. I'm going to go watch MSNBC, or I'm just not going to watch the news at all. Most of America said, I'm going to go watch Fox News, because at least Fox News has some kind of head on its shoulder. All right? You know, you have, I know Democrats who watch Fox News because they can't stand the elitism that's coming out of CNN and MSNBC. But now CNN is about to get a little makeover because Jeff Zucker has been, he's resigned and all that stuff, but let's face facts, he's being pushed out. Not just because he was involved in a sex scandal, but because look at what he's done to the network. It's complete and total garbage. CNN is no longer a news network. It's a propaganda outlet. And nobody's watching it anymore. Why should they? Why should they? I turn it on and seriously, the other day, we turned on CNN just to see what they were doing. And they were still talking about Trump. They were still blaming stuff on Trump. It's that bad. That bad. It's like, yeah, you guys gotta touch grass, man. Touch grass. I have new respect for Chris Rock. I don't agree with much of what he says or his comedy either, but I appreciate that he stayed professional throughout. Dying breed. Yeah, look, I think he's a pretty solid comedian. You know, I've listened to his stand-up. I've watched his stand-up, and I've laughed quite a bit during his stand-up. You know, I don't agree with everything he says. The dude is still kind of Hollywood, so he's been in the bubble, and you could tell. He smells of the bubble a little bit. But, you know, is he more real than like a lot of the other people there? Yeah, I think he is. But in any case, we're going to dive in. Why is the chat always doing that? That's driving me crazy. CNN in a sorry state of affairs as cratered viewership and CNN Plus failure plague the network. So CNN fails so badly that they launched CNN Plus, which is their streaming service. Everybody's got a streaming service nowadays. You canceled your cable to save money because you just like, I'm just going to do Netflix and various streaming services. It's like $7 a month. Who cares? Now, like, everybody has a streaming service and you have to subscribe to them if you want to watch their stuff. Well, CNN created their own and no one's signing up. Like, it is it's embarrassing. We'll say that. It's absolutely embarrassing how little play CNN Plus is getting. They touch too much grass. There's no sex in the champagne room, at least not for Will J. John, he just landed an uppercut. Dude, 100% true. We've talked about this. The reason that happens is because Will Smith, he was overcompensating. In any case, CNN is now about to undergo a change in leadership because they're being bought out by Discovery, which is very interesting to me. They're buying up a lot of stuff. Warner Media and Discovery are having a merger, and you'll notice that there's already some rearranging happening on this Titanic, the deck chairs. But for instance, Warner Media just absolutely scuttled the DC Comics portion of their, and I'm not talking about the ownership of like brands like Superman and stuff like that. They still own all that, Batman, but the actual physical comics, bye. So that's very interesting. But with these new people coming in, we're actually seeing some plans to maybe remake CNN into what it should have been from the very beginning. I'm going to go ahead and dive right in here. Now, hasn't CNN gone from Bush derangement to Trump derangement? Well, the derangement syndromes at some point in time have to stop. They made their name off of effectively being a propaganda outlet for the Democrat Party. Period. And because of that, no one watched. They went woke and got broke. It should be best practices at this point in time. Any company, doesn't matter what it is, best practices. You go woke, you get broke, and that's just the way it is. CNN used to be synonymous with breaking 24-hour news, but once Jeff Zucker got a hold of the reins, he forced the network to the left so hard it tipped the carriage over. The network has struggled to attract viewers as it continued to double and triple down on its radical leftist slants. So radical, in fact, that network anchors calling white male Trump voters the biggest threat in this country, while standing in front of burning buildings and calling Black Lives Matter riots, quote, mostly peaceful, are burned into the minds of many Americans. By the way, this is up at redstate.com right now. Everything I'm about to talk about is at redstate.com right now. So if you want to follow along, hit it up. People tuned out and never came back. The ratings tell the tale more than anything else, with ratings dropping a horrifying 90% after 2021. That's not a fake number. That's not April Fool's. After 2021, no one wanted to watch CNN anymore. And I have a theory. It's because they made a name for themselves. They backed themselves into a corner, CNN. Because during the Trump administration, their primary export was anti-Trump propaganda. Well, what do you do when there's no more Trump? What do you do when you supposedly won the battle and you don't have your mine had run dry? You have to do what you can to stay afloat by basically taking everything that he did and attempting to paint any bad thing that happens afterward on him, but people just weren't buying it anymore. They you remember they tried to make Jan 6 the remembrance and all that stuff, and they're trying to stoke still to this day this anti-Trump fear and loathing, and people just weren't buying it anymore. The trend had passed, and if that's the only thing that you have going for you, if that's the name that you made for yourself, that's the reason people tuned in, then, I mean, what are they going to do when that reason is gone? 90% of their audience vacated CNN after 2021 because there's no more reason to watch. Now Zucker is out the door with both a sexual scandal and a trash network smoldering behind him, and new leadership coming in. Some are taking stock of what CNN is and how much needs to be rebuilt. The short answer is a lot. Experts are looking at the beleaguered network and seeing something broken and in need of a total makeover. According to Fox News, as CNN's parent company Warner Media closes its deal with Discovery, big changes are in store for the news network, and some wonder if the new regime can restore the, quote, most trusted name in news to one that earns the title. This is from Fox News. CNN is in the midst of a sorry state of affairs as the network faces looming leadership changes, struggling ratings, and, quote, the embarrassing launch of a suboptimal product, according to a former producer as watchdogs ponder if the new regime can restore the network's reputation. It's a much publicized period of transition for CNN as parent company Warner Media will finally close a long-planned merger with Discovery in the next few weeks. Former CNN boss Jeff Zucker is long gone after being forced to step aside, and his replacement, Chris Licht, is expected to overtake control of the network until at least April 11th. Meanwhile, high-powered Discovery CEO David Zaslav will oversee the new Warner Bros. Discovery, which will serve as CNN's parent company once the merger is complete. Those still at CNN aren't exactly sure what Zaslav and Licht are up to, or will get up to once they are in power, but one thing that many are expecting is to see the hard left programming at the network get kicked to the curb with a return to a straight reporting of the news. This includes changes to CNN Plus, the network's streaming service, which was, quote, set up to fail, according to Progress Ventures founder Nick McShane. Reports say that CNN Plus launched too little attention from audiences who refused to pay for CNN if they weren't already watching it for free. CNN Plus is currently set up to fail with a subscription-only revenue model, Max Shane wrote in Adweek. Licht should shift CNN Plus to an ad-supported revenue model and build upon CNN's strengths through strong relationships with top advertisers. If Licht is committing to hard news and running a streaming business, he must rethink the subscription model and some of CNN Plus's content. Again, attack on the content for CNN. CNN's content is garbage. It's absolute garbage. It's just Democrat propaganda material pretty much 24/7. CNN's horrific reputation follows it everywhere it goes. On the first day of the streaming service's launch, original CNN anchor Dave Walker was had on by Brian Stelter, one of the network's Democrat Party propagandists. Instead of applauding CNN, the anchor lit into it. I used to anchor at CNN, and now I just yell at CNN, Walker said. I think originally it was pretty much 99% news content. As cable news evolved and more competition came into the fray, you had more opinion, particularly in the evening hours. And I would say that's the major difference now. But maybe with the new ownership, that may revert to more just basic news coverage. Dude, I would love to get on a Brian Stelter program and just tell, because this is actually the second time Stelter was told to his face from a CNN, like a former CNN, like big name, and said, you guys are so blatantly partisan that you guys drive me crazy. This place needs to change real bad. This is the second time Stelter has had that happen to him. And Stelter is one of the biggest offenders of this entire, travesty. CNN taking responsibility. April Fools! CNN needs to restructure their staff. Belko experiment style. I don't know what that is. Should I know what that is? I need an explainer. What do you do after Trump? Apparently still complain about Trump. That's all they've got. Unfortunately, my mother was one of those, CNN all day during the Trump administration. Yeah, I've got people in my life who watch CNN nonstop. It's the only place they get their news, and it shows. It shows. I feel like they are detached a little bit from reality. And they're willing to believe lies that they make. It's scary, really. It's scary, and it's really a testament to how propaganda can work on people. How the media really can brainwash folk. It's scary. It's scary to think, but I mean, CNN, there's something happens to you when you watch CNN. If you watch enough of it, blatant lies don't even get questioned. It's kind of crazy. You're in trouble when the Phoenix says, good luck with that pile of oak ashes. No joke. Particularly in the evening hours. Honestly, they can't keep their opinions out of anything. Look, I don't think opinion is necessarily the problem. Because you're going to have guests on, that are all going to have opinions and they're experts and they're going to give their expertise. And their expertise always comes in part from their bias. Everybody is biased. There's no such thing as an unbiased reporter. There's no such thing as an unbiased commentator. In some way, shape, or form, their bias is always going to dictate how they report things, right? The issue with CNN is that they're not just stating their opinion. They're stating their opinion and making everyone believe that it's absolute fact. They are taking notes, marching orders from the Democrat Party, and whatever the Democrat Party says, that is the way it is. No ifs, ands, or buts. And if there is absolute in-your-face proof that what they are saying is an absolute lie, they will not walk away from that. They will double down, triple down on it until they've got people believing that the sky is actually green. It's April Fools every day at CNN. It's fake. But it doesn't matter. They think it's real, and they want you to think it's real. That's the issue with CNN. It's not just opinion. And then they turn around and they tell us, well, we don't really take sides. We're the most trusted name in news. We don't take sides. We're just reporting the facts. Bro, I can see the sky is blue. No, it's green. By the way, if you think it's blue, you must be a racist. That's the kind of stuff that they're doing at CNN. Another former CNN exec had some nasty words for CNN as well, and told Fox News that he thought in no uncertain terms, saying the damage Zucker did to the network is, quote, deep and permanent. It's a sorry state of affairs that when CNN should be shining for its Ukraine coverage, it is instead mired in the embarrassing launch of a suboptimal product like CNN Plus. Ratings are terrible despite the once-in-a-decade war news that CNN is supposedly made for. We're now seeing the deep and permanent damage Jeff Zucker did to the once storied CNN brand when he pulled it far left and made it about himself versus Trump. The media insider said, viewers don't turn to CNN for serious news anymore. True. The networks, you know what you go to CNN to do now? You just go to CNN to confirm your bias if your bias is to the radical left. That's pretty much what you do there. That's the only reason you go. You have a belief and you want somebody else to tell you that you're right, so you go to CNN. Doesn't matter what it's about. Trans kids, masks, election stuff. Doesn't matter what it is. If you have a very, very closely held belief that you think that you're a little wobbly on, you don't know if you're wrong, but you need to be told that you're right, you go to CNN. That's why people tune into CNN, to have their biases confirmed. That's it. There's no real news there. It's all propaganda. But if some anchor on a television set tells you that you're absolutely right, despite the fact that your radical leftist nonsense is screaming lie, I mean, it's kind of a one-stop shop for you. You can get all of your biases confirmed by some guy on a television who says that he is an authoritative voice and only reports the facts. You're effectively having your ego stroked. It's like some dude on TV going, you're right, they are evil. Oh my gosh. Oh, everyone but you is so evil. Everyone but you is so stupid. Only you really have the facts. You know the facts. Here's some more facts for you. That's CNN. The network's future still remains shaky, but the incoming leadership seems set on reviving CNN by eliminating its hard leftist slant. A highly influential board member at Discovery Communications Inc. and Liberty Media chairman John Malone made it clear during a CNBC appearance that CNN should abandon its leftist slant and return to nonpartisan news. What's more, it's a position Licht seems in agreement with. Walker isn't alone in publicly hoping CNN reverts to founder Ted Turner's just the facts approach to news. Last year, Liberty Media chairman John Malone, who sits on the board of directors for Discovery Communications Inc. and is considered incredibly influential, made headlines during an appearance on CNBC when he declared CNN should revert to nonpartisan journalism. I would like to see CNN evolve back to the kind of journalism that it started with, and actually have journalists, which would be unique and refreshing, and actually have journalists. Ouch, ow. Because do they have journalists at CNN now? It's all just propagandists. I mean, y'all, they literally had a dude sitting in front of a burning building in a city going, yeah, this Black Lives Matter protest is mostly peaceful. The city was on fire behind him, and he's like, mostly peaceful. Bro. Good God, man. People died. People were killed during the Black Lives Matter marches. Killed. Shot. David Dorn, I mean, he was a police officer a retired police officer, just trying to defend his friend's black man, trying to defend his friend's pawn shop, and he got shot by Black Lives Matter rioters. And then not long after that, you had some Black Lives Matter leader in the street going, well, any time that anybody steals anything, that's reparations. Mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful. Unfortunately, my mother was one of those seen in all day during the Trump administration. Yep. Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks. Time for CNN to go by way of TNN, WGN, Fox Reality, etc. Pull the plug. End it. I'm gonna address that in a second, John. I'm gonna address that in a second because I kind of want to talk about the future of CNN from my perspective. In the memo, Licht said he didn't know what major changes he was going to make just yet, but that he was given a directive by Zaslav to ensure that CNN remains the global leader in news as part of the Warner Bros. Discovery. But perhaps he already knows what he's going to do, and the clue is found in the fact that he purposely wrote news in all caps. Now, here's the thing about this incoming guy who's going to take over Chris Licht. I worry still that despite the fact that this guy thinks that he needs to return to a nonpartisan stance for the news, Licht is probably not the guy to decide what is considered nonpartisan news. Let me tell you guys who Chris Licht is. For those of you who don't know his history. Recently, he's most famous for the creation of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. As you guys know, Stephen Colbert is one of the hardest leftists on TV right now. You can't turn his show on without getting like getting a deluge of leftist opinion. This is the same guy who called Trump President Putin's, I can't say it because I would get in trouble from brass, but the his penis holster. We'll say that. It's his penis holster. Chris Licht is also responsible for creating MSNBC's Morning Joe. Also a pretty hard leftist program. So Chris Licht is not exactly known for being nonpartisan. He's definitely partisan, this guy. And as we've talked about on this program before, some people's leftism goes so far that they don't even understand that their opinions are leftist opinions. A really good example that I wanted to point out was Twitter's Trust and Safety Council member who went on Joe Rogan and was arguing with Tim Pool about the transgender argument, right? Tim Pool was trying to show her, hey, the things that you are doing from the decisions you are making about banning people, shadow banning people, whatever, are being made from an opinion that you hold. An opinion. And like this lady could not wrap her head around the fact that what she was doing was just based on an opinion. She couldn't figure out that it was just an opinion. Like she really thought with all of her heart and soul that this is just the way the world was, her opinion. This is proof of the bubble. You know what I'm saying? After the mostly peaceful bit, wasn't there a mostly peaceful protest that broke into a lobby of the CNN building? There was actually, Rhett, yes. There absolutely was. Was that mostly peaceful, I have to wonder? Better not have any major news happening at schools. Nobody from CNN will be able to get within 500 feet of the location. For those of you who don't, y'all want to know how bad of a cesspool CNN is right now? You had two guys outside, and I'm not talking about Jeff Zucker and Chris Cuomo. Two guys were guilty of pedophilia. Were found. I think one of them worked for Chris Cuomo. The other one worked for. I think they both worked for Chris Cuomo. Now I'm thinking about it. One guy was distributing child porn. Ketanji Brown Jackson's kind of person, and the other one was literally grooming little girls and trying to work with parents in order to have them groomed. His entire thought process was, you need to train them young to be subservient little sex slaves. He got fired, and CNN tried to keep it quiet, but it kind of got out. So that's how bad CNN is right now. And I don't want to accuse the workers at CNN, any of them, for being so, like, having such a horrible All I'm gonna say is let's start an investigation and check the computers. That's all I'm gonna say. Check the computers, every single one of them. Go into CNN, full on investigation. Surprise! Don't announce it. Just go in there and start going. Hey, I'm gonna need to download the entirety of your hard drive right now. Bring some police officers with you, or at least some burly men, man, and then just start downloading hard drives. Because I am pretty sure that it ain't just those two. Given that network's reputation, I bet more is happening there. But in any case, Licht is probably not the guy I would trust to make a nonpartisan network. But I don't know. Again, I don't want to just announce a failure before they've even tried. Because here's the thing, and this is what I was going to get to, John, when I said I would get to that. I want CNN to return to being a good news network. I want that. I don't necessarily want, because CNN, the brand, like CNN, the vessel, isn't itself a bad thing. The people who ran it for the longest time turned it into a ship of fools. I would like to see people take it over that actually bring it back, like, to the center. Okay? Bring it back to the center, and we could actually get really good news out of it. Like a solid reporting. Okay, I would love this new merger, this new management coming in. It's going to be owned by a new company. Like, I want to see them turn it around. And I would like to have more options when it comes to... Because, look, Fox News is great, but Fox News is biased to the right more than it is anything else. And if CNN really, if its goal is to be as nonpartisan as humanly possible, then by all means, let's see it. Because I would like to be like, okay, here's what Fox News is saying. Let's see what CNN is saying. Like, I would like to see that. I would like to have more options. I would love to see CNN rescued as a brand. Okay, I realize that, like, it's generated a lot of ire around it, and it's deserved. But again, CNN necessary. Like, same thing with Disney. I would love for Disney to be brought back to the center. I would love for the employees who do not, they're walking out, by the way. The employees who do not subscribe to this hard leftism that Disney is engaging in, I would love to see them stand up and enforce their will, push everyone out that is radicals, that are radical leftists, change the top executives' minds about who really is in charge here, and then have Disney as a giant corporation that it is, with all the brands that it owns and whatnot, to shift back to a non-political stance and actually make good films, good content. I want that. And I think it's important that we remember that it's not necessarily the brand, it's the people who run the brand. If you can change people out, and actually, let's say that Disney tomorrow or CNN tomorrow is replaced by people who actually are journalists, who have, who like, you see an entire spread of ideological diversity, whether it's left or right leaning. Let's say that they both come into the center and they're both reporting their facts, in a as nonpartisan as they possibly can from CNN. What a great network that would be. If Disney came in and actually had ideological diversity and they started pumping out content, that content would probably be so much better. It would be a return to form for Disney. Wouldn't that be awesome? The brand isn't the issue. The issue is the people who have overtaken the brand. Now, it's getting, a lot of these companies have gone woke, and so they're going broke, and people are getting it. This is why CNN is in a position to be bought right now. But imagine if the people coming in actually did what they said they were going to do, and we had a good news network. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. What's up, Kira? Nonpartisan anything is a ridiculous notion in this day and age. Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, I think that, there is no such thing as an unbiased reporter. The only thing that you can do is your best to not be so biased that you create your own bubble and end up issuing what essentially amounts to propaganda. This is why I think ideological diversity is a great thing. At a major corporation like that, yeah. They talk about diversity all the time. We need, different sexualities, different races, yada, yada, yada. But what about ideological diversity? No one wants ideological diversity at these major corporations right now, but ideological diversity is the one thing that's going to save them. Bring right-leaning people to the table. Bring centrists to the table. Start discussing ideas instead of politics. And watch it change. And these are major corporations. It won't just be them that changes. It won't just be the business that changes. It'll be culture. Culture will change. We're so divided right now because the main stage is wholly owned by radical leftists who are so radical that they're literally trying to seize the education system so that they can groom your children. Would they be getting away with that if there were people in the room who were actually listened to that have a different perspective? No. Wouldn't be. The best you can do is be honest about who you are and who your audience is. Yeah, absolutely. That said, if he was brought in to right the carriage, he's more likely to turn it onto its roof. Again, licked might. I hate saying this. I don't have a lot of hope for CNN. I don't. But I sure hope that it returns to the center and becomes a respectable news network again. And here's the other thing that we need to think about. If it does return to being a respectable news network because they ditched a lot of the left-leaning nonsense that they're doing right now, that's radical leftist nonsense, it'll be a success story that other businesses can follow. It can set an example. Can you imagine CNN setting a good example and other companies being like, wow, they're experiencing some radical success. What if we did the same thing? What if we ditched a lot of this politics that was in vogue for a while and everyone wanted to have, their say in these, they wanted their marches and they wanted our product to be more reflective of the LGBT community or, whatever political movement is happening at the time. What if we ditched all that and do what CNN did and just kind of return back to normal? We can safely ditch the politics and nothing will happen to us. In fact, it will only benefit. Imagine if CNN was an example to follow. It just seems like a really good idea to me. That's fine and well, but CNN is frosked, in my opinion. Too late for CNN and Disney. I don't know. I don't know if it's too late for them, to be honest with you. I think that they could they're big enough. I think they could right the ship, and it'd take a minute. It's a big lumbering beast. But I bet that they could probably pull something off. I bet they could. We were driving to Orlando from the west coast of Florida. Blew my mind to see Mickey utility poles. They have Mickey utility poles. Wait, what? Is that for real? Hang on. I gotta see this. Mickey utility poles. What do those look like? Oh, wow. That's for real. That's funny. Wow. I bet those are actually pretty cool. Like pretty useful utility, practically speaking. The Daily Wire is investing $100 million to produce children's content. Daily Wire, I love you guys. I don't want to sound like I'm putting them down. Look, I hope, I really do hope that they succeed in making really good children's content, and I guess I'm just jaded. I'm jaded because so often you have these conservatives, these companies come out and they're like we're production companies. We're going to create some great stuff, and everyone's going to love it. And then it ends up being complete garbage that I wouldn't even watch. Right? So I hope that the Daily Wire actually comes out with something that is quality entertainment. $100 million, first off, where are they getting that money? I would like to know. $100 million is a lot of money to sink into this kind of endeavor. And I really do hope that they succeed. I hope that we get something that makes them a little bit credible when it comes. Given I haven't seen Daily Wire productions yet, and I haven't seen any of them, so I can't really say whether or not they're actually really good. I am really excited for Terror on the Prairie with Gina Carano. I'm definitely going to go see that. But maybe I'm just jaded. I've seen so much conservative nonsense come out, and it is not good. I'm happy to look. Not everything is bad. Not everything is bad. You've got some really good stuff, but most of it's kind of crap. The most of it's kind of crap, and I'm sorry for those of you who are like insulted by this. But come on, let's be real. It's too over the top. We as conservatives are just as guilty of creating propaganda as the left. And people forget that it's not propaganda that you need to create. It's just a good story, and allow your beliefs to shine through in the story. Jesus was the best at this, man. He started the trend, in my opinion. He would tell a story that he did not mention heaven one time during the story, or God, or angels, or anything. He wouldn't mention it. He would just kind of give you an example within a rather compelling story. And he would say, all right, so here's what I meant when I told this story. That's to follow Jesus' example. Once again, follow Jesus' example. He knew what he was doing. I have children. I would like to know how to get some of his investment money so I can entertain them. Dude, no joke. You may even hear some voiceover work from Kira Davis over there. Stay tuned. Whoa! Kira is involved. Kira, of all the people, dude, Kira, you'd probably make a really good voice actor. Now that I think about it. Ethan Nicole from The Bee is running their programming. Trust me, it's legit operations. Really? You've heard it here, folks. You've heard it here. He brought over a team that has already been working in Hollywood, and Ethan has been working in animation for years. See, that makes me hopeful. That makes me hopeful. That's awesome to hear. And how do I get a voice acting job over there? Holla at your boy. I'm a formally trained voice actor. Just throw the parts at me. I'll do them. I've got the setup. Include me. I want to be, because if it's super, I want to be a part of that. I would love to be a part of something that big, if successful. Even if unsuccessful, I guess, Elitists, continuing down this. So we've got one elitist news organization falling. We need to see more elites, institutions. We need to see them fall too, right? And they are, in my honest opinion, and I'm really happy about that. I did VO work at the Bee. It was fun. Dude, I love voiceover acting. Voiceover artistry. I love voice acting. Yeah, I just burped. Get over it. Whoopi Goldberg goes off on fellow The View host over Hollywood elite term, but displays elitism as she does it. I kind of want to just watch this and comment over it and react to it, because I feel like Hollywood really has gotten to a point where it's become so elitist, it's become so unself-aware about it. To the point where Whoopi Goldberg, of all people, and we've had those conversations about Whoopi before on this show. Whoopi Goldberg is one of those people who is just so unaware of her own nonsense. And she displayed it one more time, because she seems to not like the term Hollywood elitism. Brendan just spent 10 minutes bitching about how he doesn't trust DW to make good work, and now he's asking for a job. I love this business. Dude, no, okay, all right, you want to call me out? Fine. Look, I want to, if you for one, okay, set my mind at ease by telling me that there are people who know what they're doing that are going to be involved in this. You're involved in it. So yeah, of course I want to be involved in it now. Kira. Make me look like an idiot. Something tells me that the best way to get a role over there was not to say that you thought that this was a high chance that we... Wait, no! That's not what I'm saying! Y'all are the worst. That's not what I'm trying to say. I've just been so jaded in the past that I just don't... I immediately in my mind... I think that it's not going to be like as good as many people say, but I'm saying that if there are people out there who are involved that know what they're doing, then yes, let's go 100%, baby. Y'all are horrible. Chat, y'all are the worst. Y'all are the worst, making me act. They're making me look so bad. I take it all back. There it is. I take it all back. I delete the VOD afterward, please. Delete the VOD. But give me a job. Don't blame Kira. You set yourself up for this rivet. Whose side are you on, Red? Whose side are you on? Whoopi Goldberg. I'm not going to dig my ditch any further. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take this bait. Whoopi Goldberg gets indignant when confronted with Hollywood's elitism and moral hypocrisy. I just want to stop this elite stuff, she whined. So we're going to watch this video, and I'm going to react to it because I think it's important to point something out here about this elitist culture that she is involved in. You're hired? I did it. I did it. Suck it, Red. All right. Let's watch this.
But then they gave him a standing ovation, though, Whoopi, which I think, again, goes back to why some people feel like Hollywood...
The standing ovation that she's referring to, by the way, just real fast, is the standing ovation that the Hollywood elite, the celebrities and whatnot, gave to Will Smith once he won his Best Actor award after welcoming to Earth Chris Rock.
Elites are a bunch of hypocrites because they go out there and they give these, these statements of moral, superiority about things and political statements, and then they're standing one of those people.
Okay, so yes, she has a point. Tara has a great point here, and it's kind of one that Ricky Gervais touched on too. These people that get up and they preach to us. In us flyover Americans, us average Americans, the peasantry, they preach to us about, good morals and how our politics need to reflect their politics, how everything that we do is just the absolute worst, except they know they know what's good for us, right? And then they turn around and they do this nonsense. And so we have no choice but to go, you guys are absolute hypocrites. Now here comes Whoopi, who does not like the term Hollywood elitist, which is what Tara said. Whoopi comes in and she says this, and you want to talk about a bad choice of words? Okay, I'm not alone in this column. Here we go.
Of moral,
listen to what Whoopi says
about things and political statements, and then they're
I'm sorry. As one of
those people, come on, Whoopi, don't do that, man. But I mean, she's being truthful here. She is one of those people. But after saying, after she just went on that Hollywood elitist rant about hypocrisy, don't follow it up with as one of those people. So now you've just automatically grouped yourself in with one of those people. She is generalizing herself as one of those people right now. And now she's about to complain that generalization needs to stop.
I gotta stop you because
you would have given him a standing ovation?
I would not have stood up, but that has nothing to do with why people do. Have you? Let me ask you a question.
In the moment, though?
In the moment. So you're sitting there. You just gone. Oh no, you've gone. Ooh, oh what the? Oh yeah. And you're up.
What a stupid excuse that she just made for all those celebrities who gave a standing ovation to Will Smith. She's basically saying that they didn't know what was happening in the moment, and they were just taken by surprise for the moment, and they're all getting up and applauding. If somebody said, hey, Will Smith has won, and I just witnessed him assault another dude over a stupid joke, I wouldn't stand up. I'd be like, what a dick. He doesn't deserve this. But Whoopi is effectively saying that celebrities' minds are so hollow that they just automatically stood up and applauded because they didn't know what was going on. Not the best defense. You're off to a really bad start, Whoopi.
Before you even know you've done something stupid.
There was time in between.
I'm telling you what folks have said who were there.
But
That's what they're saying. And I just want to stop with this elite stuff because, you know, a lot of us work for a living.
You working for a living doesn't not make you elite. Just pointing that out. She wants to talk like she's a working class person, or like she is also among the workers or some such. Whoopi Goldberg, I can tell you right now, has assistants that bring her whatever she needs. She gets driven to all sorts of places. She doesn't have to drive herself. Her house is about 3 to 4 times larger than most Americans. And she's like, well, I work for a living. Okay. So does Jeff Bezos. So does Elon Musk. They're billionaires. I think they're part of the elite, my guy. Like, that's not a good excuse.
We work, we collect a check, we got families, we try to do the same thing, the good stuff that everybody else tries to do.
I go out and I work really hard from the sweat of my brow. Just the other day, I had to tell my assistant how my coffee needed to be made twice. It was so exhausting. My kids needed to be picked up from school. Okay? But because I had the Benz, I had to send the Tesla. It was just so stressful. The other day, I had to have my beach home fumigated.
And it really pisses me off when people start to talk about people who work in Hollywood, just not just actors, but all the other folks. So please, when you're talking about actors, be specific. If you're pissed off about somebody or how they act, don't put it on all of us, because that's like saying all black people like chicken.
Okay. We didn't need to get racial. But here's the thing. First, she generalized herself as one of those people. Now she's saying don't generalize these people. Okay. This from the woman who generalizes conservatives and you know, Trump voters, men. This is the queen. You're looking at the queen of generalizations right here. And now she's mad because she and her fellow Hollywood elite are being attacked, being pointed out that they are elitists. And now we're supposed to practice nuance. These people do not understand how elitist they are. And she just demonstrated it right there. And I wanted to go over some elitist takes that we've had recently. Not just the applause for Will Smith winning Actor of the Year. Not just for, you know, for Will Smith getting away with slapping somebody, at least so far he has. Hollywood is rife with sexual assault, pedophilia, radical leftism, and stupid takes on any given subject. Goldberg, for instance, is one such example of elitism, as just this last January, Goldberg claimed that the Holocaust was about race and effectively labeled it white-on-white violence. The bizarre and heinous take resulted in a 2-week suspension for Goldberg, who was reportedly livid over the punishment and began making threats to quit the show. You display an enormous amount of ignorance. Then, when you're punished for it for just a 2-week suspension, Gina Carano was fired, by the way, for even just saying, hey, back in World War II, before World War II, one of the things that they did to the Jewish people in order to make them so easy to round up was other them in our society, or their society, which then allowed not just the SS to come and round them up, but neighbors, their own neighbors were turning them in. So we shouldn't other people. We should have conversations and listen to one another and stop looking at each other as if we're not human. She got fired for that. Whoopi Goldberg, an elite, a Hollywood elite, got a 2-week suspension, and she was mad over it. Let's keep going. Early last month, Stephen Colbert said that paying extra for gas was worth it for a clean conscience. A shallow and, we talked about this on the stream, a shallow and disconnected take to have, considering Colbert, a man worth $75 million, won't feel the same sting at the pump that someone who works 2 jobs to keep a roof over their kids' heads would. That makes it worse, or what makes it worse is that Colbert was only laying down that kind of disconnected elitist talk in order to run defense for a failing Biden administration that had put America into an energy crisis in the first place. Colbert is out there saying, you know what, a few dollars more is worth it for a clean conscience. First off, it's not just a few dollars more. An energy crisis, man, you go to the pump, you're paying at the very least $20 more. It's not just a few dollars, man. We who are not the richest people in the world are going to bear the brunt of that. This guy, first off, he says he drives a Tesla. Cool. But even if he didn't, let's say he drove a gas guzzling truck. Okay? Let's say that he drove like a 90s Hummer. He wouldn't feel it. The dude's worth 75. He gets paid $17 million a year for doing the Colbert Late Show. Worth $75 million. Do you think that he's going to go to the pump and feel this? Do you think that his conscience is going to be cleansed? No. Not only does this guy not drive a gas guzzler, he drives a Tesla, which is also expensive to get. He's probably, like Whoopi Goldberg, driven most places. If he does have to fill up, I guarantee you he probably hasn't touched a gas pump in a long time. I bet that he has assistants that go and fill up his car. Now, I'm not saying they pay for it. He does, but still. This dude is so disconnected that he's so wealthy that he didn't even think, well, you know, what about the people who have to work at, you know, they have to work one shift at Dairy Queen and then maybe they have to go and work at a daycare, you know, just 2 jobs in order to support their kids, to have a roof over their heads. Clean conscience, he says. It wasn't these people are going to pay dearly. Angry over Joe Manchin holding up Democrat legislation. Bette Midler painted West Virginia as, quote, poor and illiterate. She then issued a quick apology that few people actually believed. That was one of those saying the quiet part out loud moments. That was the, oops, my thoughts came out and I shouldn't have said that moment. There it was, her real thoughts about things. In 2016, celebrities wore gun control bracelets from the Brady campaign in an effort to use their influence to convince Americans that they should support Democrat-backed anti-gun legislation. This was while they attended an Oscars with increased armed security. For me, but not for thee. And we've seen multiple instances of this, even like in Washington, AOC, and I think it was it Ilhan Omar? It was one of the other squad members. They decided that they were going to push for anti-gun legislation, that it's too dangerous for us, you and me, to own guns. And yet, they increased security for themselves. Just goes to show you how out of touch these people are. What they think of you. People are starting to realize this. They're taking celebrities less seriously. The age of the celebrity is over, as the Critical Drinker recently released a video about, and I would play it. I don't know if I'd get in trouble for it, but it's an amazing video. If you don't follow the Critical Drinker on YouTube, go check him out. Go check him out. He is he made a video recently that just really kind of highlighted how disconnected celebrities have become from reality and how we as Americans are starting to really wake up to it. And a lot of that thing is, thankfully, we can thank the internet for that. Because it used to be that most celebrities had a PR agent that they would issue all their comments through. You know, all the interviews that they would go on would be carefully curated. They would always come off as these like high-minded individuals with, you know, with a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom, yada yada. They were always like they were kind and generous. Now, thanks to social media, there is no barrier. They just completely like show their ass all the time. And it is embarrassing for the vast majority of them. Many of them can't shut up. Mark Ruffalo, this is the same guy. He's a hard leftist, radical leftist. Gets on there and starts calling pedophiles by nicknames, by cute little nicknames. Because one of them got shot by Kyle Rittenhouse. Insane stuff. And I think that he's one of the worst offenders. It's fair to say that you worked hard for your elite status, but you're still in an elite now. When your life no longer intersects with the average Americans, you're elite. Exactly. Definitely gone full Karen. Except for my friend Brandon J., who we all make fun of mercilessly. My husband tried to take us to a French chicken festival for our family vacation one year. I was like, I'm not going to a chicken world for vacation. I would. I've got an unhealthy obsession with chicken tenders. I loved them ever since I was a kid, and I just never grew out of it. I still go to like Cane's, Chicken Express. Like I every now and again, if I go to Chick-fil-A, I'll get the chicken tenders. I don't care. I would go to a chicken world. Are you kidding me? You mean the first X-Men? I liked her better when wore serving trays wrapped in linen on her head and helped people get over their personal issues while serving liquor. Yeah, Guinan is that's a testament to how good Whoopi Goldberg is as an actress. I will say that she's great because Whoopi Goldberg and Guinan so totally different from each other. I wonder how many people sent bills to Colbert promising a cleaner conscience for him paying their bills. That's a good idea. People should just start sending like, hey, Colbert, please, for a cleaner conscience, for your cleaner, can you pay the difference on my gas bill? Tax the rich liberal elites. No, not that kind of tax the rich, John. The end of the movie star. Yeah, you saw it, Kraken. You saw it. It's a really good video. Critical Drinker, go check it out. You at least think it's okay to have increased armed security. Half of the celebs think that that means that they're supporting the diversity of number of arms people have. I think I got a Twitter notification from the Critical Drinker and haven't followed him yet. Oh, you should. He's so great. My son will drive 15 miles for Cane's. Dude, Cane's is good. Cane's is great. They got the toast, the buttered toast. All right, they got the French fries that are decent, but they have some bomb chicken tenders. Their dipping sauce is just mayonnaise and ketchup mixed together, though, with like maybe some kind of other spice. I don't know. It's blatant, but it still works for me, man. God, I want Cane's now. I might go Cane's after this. Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets for life, please. Amen. Critical is great. His open bar streams are good. I have yet to like actually sit in on one of those, but I need to. Only had Cane's once. Too basic. Too basic for you, John? What do you consider not basic? What kind of chicken tenders do you go for? You know what chicken tenders I don't like? I used to like them a lot, but I don't anymore, is Popeyes. Like, they have way too much breading, and then like after you eat their chicken tenders, it leaves like this really weird soggy taste in your mouth that I just can't stand. It's I don't know. I don't like it. Too much grease. Critical Drinker is really good content. Yeah, every time he releases a video, I immediately go for it. That Texas toast is killer. All day with that Texas toast. All day. I'll get fat off of it. I don't care. Chicken Express. Y'all don't have Chicken Express real. Unless you're from Texas, y'all don't have a Chicken Express. But Chicken Express or in Waco, it's called Bush's Chicken. They say that's not the same restaurant. I swear to you it is. But y'all, Chicken Express, man, that you want to talk about really good chicken tenders, blows Cane's away easily here in Texas. And it comes with like toast or like a buttered roll. I mean, that's just cooked to perfection. You can get like fried okra with it, sweet teas that are as big as your head. Oh my God. Never mind. I'm not going to Cane's. I'm going to Chicken Express. Man, y'all got me hungry now. Popeyes will never be a sponsor for this show. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Maybe Chicken Express will. Chicken Express, love you guys. Just call me up. Sponsorship. Let's go. Every day. I will have a Chicken Express or Cane's, whichever one. I will have a Chicken Express box the entire time I'm talking. I will just be eating chicken tenders. I don't care. I'll get fat over it. I make sure to get a lot of Cajun sparkle from Popeyes to season my other food. They have something like that at Chicken Express too. It's like they call it serendipity salt, and they have like a spicy version of it. Let's go, baby! I put a Cajun sparkle on some Louisiana rub rings. Stop, ooh, buddy. Make it a little bit. Oh, man. All right, I'm hungry. I'm hungry now. Let's go real fast. I kind of want to cover this stuff. I got like 10 minutes left, and I didn't get y'all. I rant way too much. Apparently, in other news, University Sex Week welcomes hookers to discuss legalization, raffles off cylindrical supplements. So all I can think about is Bender from Futurama. Fine then. I'll go make my own university with blackjack and hookers. The concept of pride has exceptionally evolved. Once deemed a deadly sin, it's now something sensationally celebrated. And sometimes celebrations get sexy. Such as was the case at the University of Florida, its Pride Student Union hosted a series of sex events. Did they have to go all in with like the XXX? It just seems a little overboard. Attendees of the March 21st to 25th Sex Fest were bound to have a blast. The union gave away sex toys. Goodness. From its now deleted Instagram post, in honor of this week's sex events, we will be raffling off sex toys on social media every day this week. And at each event, we will post a picture of the sex toys being raffled off each day and how to enter your name. Pictured in the post, packs of latex condoms, a female condom, a box with the words "Comfy Mate" on it. Is that supposed to be a play of like Coffee Mate? A hot pink object in the shape of a skyscraper. I can't imagine that would be comfortable for anybody. Who forked over funds for all this frolicking? Concerning the above salacious supplements, UFPSU schooled campus reform. The sex toys were donated to us through an ongoing partnership the Pride Student Union has with the University of Florida Student Health Care Center, which is an office under the University of Florida Health. The donation is equivalent to around $300. $300, that's it? Some students weren't enthused over the official endorsement. Kiran Shah, who is vice president of the university's Young Americans Foundation chapter, told Campus Reform that his organization opposed the use of SHCC funds. We support their right to use their own funds for free speech, but we are not okay with the use of UF funds for that purpose, Shah said. Sex and college have been long bedfellows, but recently administrations have come on board in unprecedented ways. Harvard's Sex Week features Orgies 101 proves COVID recovery is in the can. What? Back to the University of Florida. In the interest of decriminalizing sex work, UFPSU welcomed prostitutes for a panel discussion. Wow. The union invited sex workers to be guest speakers so that the students could have the opportunity to listen and learn from sex workers about their experiences. Yeah, I can see how this would be like kind of I would be a little upset that the student's money, the parents' money that goes into this is being used to have hookers come and speak to your kid. Your kid is just graduated from high school, right? They're a freshman, you know? And and they're hearing from hookers about how awesome it is to be a hooker. Speaking to CR student Lisa Winders expressed her surprise. I think it is something that that is very unexpected. I am honestly interested in wanting to know what they have to say. I do too. I'm interested. I just want to know why. I feel like I know the purpose because sex work is illegal. I want to know their story too. Don't get me wrong. I think that's very fascinating. I'm pretty sure it's not Pretty Woman-esque. Okay. I've seen a few documentaries. It never looks pretty. But I gotta tell you, I would be a little mad that they were trying to use the dollars that I give them to introduce prostitutes to my child to teach them about how awesome it is to do sex work. I've watched mini documentaries before this whole entire thing was in vogue. Sex work was in, because now they're trying to make sex work to be like just another job, and it's not. It never looked pretty. Never. These women are miserable. Bye, Kira. Thank you so much for stopping by. Red State Live is brought to you by Stunlock Chicken. In the can, bad phrase. Is it bad phrasing? Or because it looked very purposeful. And I got it. Good job, Alex. Good job. Don't worry. Everything hasn't gone rated X. In fact, some schools are sticking to clean, good old-fashioned fun. Illinois University attempts to de-stress its brave but struggling students with tricycles and Lego. I'd be down for that. I'd be down for Legos. Medical student stabs a patient because he made fun of her nameplate. Who's surprised? Not me. Not me at all. These people are crazy, man. Again, not every single transgender person out there is insane. Not every single one is insane. There are some really good, lovely people out there. I've met a few, and they're great. We're very kind. We're all about having open conversations or just living their lives and being good people. And I'm all about that. You do you, I'll do me. We don't interfere with each other's anything, right? But don't stab people because they misgender you or they have a funny comment to make. Don't Will Smith somebody over a joke. Okay? Don't go Will Smith. Never go full Will Smith. That's all I've got to say to that. 18 months ago, a medical student named Daniel Michelson decided it was a good idea to spray paint on the George Floyd mural in Minneapolis. Michelson X'd out Floyd's mouth and eyes. Not sure why he did. The damage was minor, but he got chased down right out of his flip-flops. Someone in the George Floyd Square security force said that she, quote, held back people who wanted to issue some restorative justice, a.k.a. to beat Michelson to a pulp. Michelson was quickly identified because he turned around and smiled for the camera. Smart. As quickly as it took to mark X on Floyd's mouth, Michelson was out of medical school. Some of his classmates wanted his head on a stake. In 2020, there was nothing worse than not making a full flowering virtue statement on Twitter. As Michelson's classmate London Robinson jumped in, the medical school's dean penned a letter of contrition. It included most of the bended knee bullet points, including openly condemning the death of George Floyd. That wasn't enough for Robinson. She wanted expulsion, and she was horrified that the dean failed to include sufficient contrition and, quote, support for black and brown classmates. Oh, yeah, she mad. Spray paint on a mural of Floyd's, "You're out of med school and marked for life." Michelson's college got wind of his antics and quickly notified everyone at his former university. It read in part, "My heart ached as I read about another act of violence and hatred toward the black community. This vandalism, along with any instance of racism or discrimination, has no place in our community." What Michelson did was dumb. I know I don't want a doctor stabbing me with anything if he or she demonstrated such poor judgment, but what he did wasn't a medical ethics breach, nor did he purposely injure a patient, but his medical career was ruined unrelated to medical ethics. Fast forward to March 2022. A medical student named Kishel Del Rosario is a fourth-year medical student at Wake Forest. She is also a transgender activist. See, the activist community is just insane. Before she removed all her social media accounts, she was very public about it. Sometime on or before March 29th, 2022, she committed a crime. Not only did she stab a patient because of something the patient said, she committed a breach of the most sacred canon on the medical field, which is do no harm, the Hippocratic Oath. Del Rosario wears a name tag that identifies her as a she/her. A patient read her name tag with her she/her pronouncement, and according to Del Royo, the patient loudly laughed to the staff, she/her, well, of course it is. What other pronouns even are there? It? What did Del Rosario do in response? She didn't ignore the comment. She didn't ask someone else to draw blood. She decided to stab the patient. Apparently, a joke is enough for a potential doctor to commit a battery and commit an ethical breach because she didn't like the patient's joke. Not only did she commit battery and breach her ethical duty to do no harm, she decided to brag about it. In a since-deleted tweet, she was loud about and proud about her crime. I had a patient I was doing a blood draw on, see my pronoun pin, and loudly laughed to the other staff. What he said, I missed his veins, so he had to get stuck twice. Rest assured, Wake Forest is looking into it. There wasn't a lengthy open letter about how horrified the dean was, no vow to, quote, do better. There was no, we're seeking restorative justice for patients, or the seeking of a healing moment. Just a tweet announcing that the school was taking measures to address this with the student. Okay, so I'm not going to say that this was inspired by Will Smith, but it does kind of show us where society is at when it comes to this nonsense. Right now, in our society, it is perfectly okay to hurt somebody because of a joke or something they said. To them, jokes really are violence, and that requires an equal response. These people have taken things so far. Here's the thing. Chris Rock is fine. This guy just got poked by a needle, right? Not pretty bad. Pretty bad stuff, right? Imagine if this gets worse. Somebody says something wrong, or what they think is innocuous, or makes a full-on joke. People in our culture are going to start to think it's okay and start lashing out physically. They're going to start hurting people. And here's the other thing. Imagine that you go up to a person and intend to do some sort of physical violence to them because of something that they said. If this becomes more common at some point in time, and very often, after that, I bet, someone is going to try and harm the wrong person for the words that they said, and that person is either going to get beaten to a pulp or they're going to die because they get killed from somebody defending themselves effectively. This is so stupid. The fact that we're not getting the fact that this thing right here isn't being loudly denounced immediately by Wake Forest is a bad example to set, y'all. That is horrible. They need to come out and be like, not only did we fire this lady, we're trying to get her medical license revoked. This is awful. We do not support this. This has got to stop. Never will we ever see anything like this happen again, at least under our watch. And if it does, we're going to come down on them like a ton of bricks, bro. It is not going to be, we're not going to tolerate this. But we haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything because she's doing it because of her she/her nameplate. If they respond to this without some sort of careful and measured response, then the activist community is going to come down on top of Wake Forest. They're scared of that activist community. They're scared of their own students. Guaranteed. Ooh! Ooh! So bad. You'd be down for Legos. Our homegirl grid definitely would. Yeah, dude. Legos are... I love Legos, man. I will... One day, I hope that my future children are really into Legos, mainly because I want to play Legos with them. The end of the right to free speech. It's not necessarily the end of the right to free speech. I would say it's more like they think that they have a right to respond with violence to free speech. And if you look back at our society, we have actually made it quite clear to many people that if they want to hurt people because of what they said, then they're more than welcome to. Nothing's going to happen to them. Nothing's happened to Will Smith. And if nothing's happened to Will Smith, what does that make you feel like you do, you know? If nothing's happens to this girl, what does that make you feel like you can do? She literally stabbed a patient as a doctor. It's scary to think about. It's scary to think about that we've come to a position in our society where certain people of certain identities have free reign enough that they can lash out at you with needles or fists. I think you've heard other stories. I mean, you've seen people. No, you know what? We've seen people kill other people with guns. We've seen them shoot innocent people. That's where we are as society right now. But if I could bring it back, I guarantee you, if we could actually seize the platforms, whether it be Hollywood, and I'm not talking about seize. Let me refresh. Let me step back. That if we can include ourselves into the platforms, we could start to change the culture. Because all of this that you're seeing that I just talked about today, is a result of a failing culture. We need to change that culture. It's a really good thing that the elitists are losing their grip, because the elitists have bubbled themselves to the point where they think that this kind of stuff is okay, and they can preach this kind of stuff, and they can stand up and virtue signal all day about this and that, and everyone will just applaud them. Well, not everyone. Their fellow elitists will applaud them. But because they do that and they get away with it, and they're getting applause from all these important people, and you know, they're getting all these accolades, people think it's cool to do what they do. People think it's cool to be hypocritical. People think it's cool to be violent. So I'm really happy to see that these people are starting to lose their grip on society and that they're starting to fail. Very, very, very happy about that fact. That's the end game of this. If you don't protect the jokes, saying something disagreeable becomes arguably worth violence. Let me say this just real fast, and then I'll sign off. Comedy is absolutely necessary to our society. It is the societal disinfectant. When things become sick and overgrown, when certain groups become too powerful, when sacred cows are created, comedy comes in and highlights the absurdity around everything. South Park is really good at it. Matt Stone and Trey Parker are very good at being commenters about our society and highlighting just how ridiculous we can be. Any given group needs to be made fun of in some capacity. Every single person needs to be ribbed in some capacity. It keeps us human. It keeps us level. It keeps us down to earth. You know, you're pointing out that the emperor has no clothes. It's good to know. Without comedy, we tend to take things way too seriously. And when you start to take things way too seriously, it becomes corrupted. Look at the transgender movement. Right now, they're doing violence against people. Their activists are doing violence against people who merely make jokes about them. You have celebrities out there who are hitting people for making jokes. Okay? The transgender movement currently has no problem trying to introduce sex and sexuality to your children. Young children. They're currently fighting against a bill in Florida that stops them from doing that. They're openly trying to groom your kids. Hollywood elitists, they consistently practice this for me but not for thee mentality because they think themselves so high and mighty. They think they're above you. The same can be said of many media figures. The same can be said of many politicians. You have activist groups that go out there and create these movements that are celebrated despite the fact that they are insanely destructive. Black Lives Matter was a destructive movement that took advantage of the black community as much as it destroyed these black communities. And I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that its leaders are walking away rich while everyone else is still suffering. Comedy is necessary to maintain some sort of realism about society. If we were allowed to make fun of these groups, then I can guarantee you a lot of the stuff that they get up to, this over-the-top nonsense that they get up to, would be non-existent. The moment somebody said, hey, let's make a George Floyd Square, they would have been looked at as an idiot, because people would have made fun of George Floyd for being a drug addict who abused women. Transgenderism, when you really think about it, the definition, they defy science. The definition of biology. It's kind of silly when you really think about it. If we were allowed to make fun of that fact, many people might go, hey, maybe transgenderism is actually that cool. The activists would be looked at as the fringe criminals that they are. Again, not all transgender people are bad. Just their activist community is out of their mind psycho. Case in point, the story that I just read. Comedy is necessary for society. It is the great societal disinfectant. Without comedy, we create all these sacred cows and we obey people that should not be obeyed. We're forced into it because we're afraid to do anything else. Make fun of things. It's okay to make fun of things. Make fun of everything. Joke about everything. You know, some of the best times people have is making fun of themselves or the situation that they're in the midst of great. One of the greatest memories that I have was during Ike. I used to live in Galveston. Ike hit, and it destroyed a lot of our island. And some of the best memories I have is just sitting on a deck at my house with a bunch of my neighbors after a long, hard day's work of cleaning stuff up and joking about our situation. We weren't unhappy. We were very happy. But if we had taken it so seriously, we probably would have been miserable the entire time. You can't be miserable all the time. And you can't invite misery. That's what comedy is. It's closing the door on misery. Guys, I'm going to call it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all, be sure to hit subscribe on the channel if you haven't yet. Give this a like if you haven't yet. I'm about to upload a new video. I think you're really going to like it. So be sure to tune in for that after the ending of this stream. Follow me at TheBrandonMorse on Twitter. And please, go to redstate.com, where all of the stories that I've talked about are today, and sign up for our VIP program. We could really use your help. It helps us out a lot when you do sign up for the VIP program. Enter promo code MORSE, M-O-R-S-E, for a discount. You'll be glad you did. We got a lot of extra content there that a lot of people can't read from the front page. Articles, podcasts, videos, that kind of stuff. So be sure to do that. And I will see you guys on Tuesday. Y'all have a good weekend.